We can't hear you. There we go.
1, 2.
There we go.
Okay. Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Lynchburg. I'm still getting used to saying that. Here we gather in a spirit of freedom and friendship. Whoever you are, whatever your beliefs, whatever your age, and whomever you love, you are welcome here. As we work together for justice, compassion, and peace, we also acknowledge that our buildings sit on Monacan land, as does probably the houses of everyone here. My name is Gary Duvall. I've been a member of this congregation for 52 years, and I've been attending here for probably about 61. And I'm a member of the Sunday Services Committee. If you're with us for the first time, we're glad you chose to be here this morning to participate in the service for this church community that we love so much. We would be happy to tell you more about our community during virtual social time following the service or in-person social time in the fellowship hall. If you'd like to receive our monthly newsletter and Friday email updates, you can fill out one of the yellow cards in the pocket on the back of the seat in front of you and drop it in the offering basket. If you're on Zoom, you could fill out the newcomer connection form found on the visitor page on our website at uulynchburg.org. You may also wish to join our Facebook group. For those of you on Zoom, please note that the order of service is in the chat to the right of your screen if you're using a PC. If you're using a phone, the link is at the bottom of your screen. As we enter our time of worship, we light the flame of our chalice sharing these words. May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our power to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, O Spirit of life. Our opening words this morning were written by Linda Susan Ulrich. Open up the doors. Push on looming wooden arches embroidered with ironwork. Brace shoulders against the weight of history unmoved. Slough off the musty smell of unused joy and stored up sorrow. Knock rust off the hinges if you have to, and let your breath precede you inside. Open the doors more. Make room for a shaft of sunlight to cross the threshold. Give the dust motes something to dance about. Peek through a single slice of possibility and name even the half-truths you see. Open the doors wider still. Pour yourself through the gap. Strut or sneak or sidle as suits you best. Cleanse whatever scrapes catch your skin and bind up the wounds that keep you from entering whole. Open the doors as far as they will go. Draw on the strength of the stones beneath you. Ground yourself in a firm sense of who you are. Stand as a beacon welcoming the next seeker and shine far beyond the lintel and sill. Open all that you are. Heighten and deepen your connections to the world around you. Broaden your definition of a neighbor. Grow into the largest target for grace that you can muster. And pray to become a gateway for even greater love and compassion. Open up the doors, my friends, lest we keep the stranger out and condemn ourselves to prisons of our own making. Please rise in body or spirit as you are able and join me in singing hymn number 300 with heart and mind.
Get hearts to join me down front for a story time. Do what? You were ready. Good morning. Hello. It's so good to see so many happy faces this morning. So, can anybody remember what we've been talking about this month? Kaimana? Invitation, that's right. And so today we are going to talk about how we can be inviting to our friends and make people feel welcome and happy and invited. And so we have this good story, and it's called Pass It On. When you see something terrific, smile a smile and pass it on. If you chance upon a chuckle, pass it on. If something happens that's amazing, whoop it up and pass it on. Should you spot a thing of wonder, jump for joy and pass it on. With all the smiles you have made and the joy you've spread about, you'll find the world's a little nicer and those smiles a little brighter. Sometimes the fun and glee aren't in their usual place, but search around, there's always some. A hum, a hug, a happy face. So when the sky is gray and rainy, like it's been for a long time now, you'll know just what to do. Grab your wellies or your rain boots and your coat, splash a smile, and pass it on. If you feel a little lonely, don't let that worry you. Just branch out, see who's there, find some fun, and pass it on. And when you least expect it, like a bolt out of the blue, a smile or a chuckle will be passed right back to you. Enjoy that happy moment. Let that feeling fill you up. Then have a ball. Raise the roof, kick your heels, and pass it on. So upstairs this morning, we're going to be talking about all the ways we can pass on some joy and excitement and make people feel invited to want to come to our church and to be friends with us, and how we can share that joy. So are we ready to go upstairs? No?
I'm not gonna.
Well, I think we can bring our coloring upstairs with us, and we can probably work on it while we're up there, okay? All right. So David, I think we're ready for our traveling song.
We sang with you, O keepers of the flame, our thoughts, our hopes, our love. In all that you do, O keepers of the flame, be strong, have courage, be true. We sang with you, O keepers of the flame, our thoughts, our hopes, our love. In all that you do, O keepers of the flame, be strong, have courage, be true.
The ministries of our church are supported by the love, talents, and efforts of our many volunteers and staff, as well as the monetary support of our members and friends. If you have found this church to be of value in your life, then I invite you to be generous, as the morning offering is freely given and gratefully received. If you're on Zoom, you can find instructions on how to contribute at the donate link under About Us at uulynchburg.org.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live.
These monetary gifts, along with the gifts of your time, work, and creativity, which also sustain our congregation. As together we give generously to support our congregation, let us also commit ourselves to a unity of spirit to make manifest a more just, peaceful, and loving world.
It is our tradition. Spirit of life and love, we hold up today all the joys and the concerns that have been shared here, and those that are too tender to articulate. We realize that there is much suffering in the world, and we can't fix everything, but we can do our part and trust that our sisters and brothers in this community and around the world will do their part to bring healing and wholeness to those in the world. This we ask in the name of all that is sacred. Amen.
Well, that was for the music for meditation. Before the meditation, it's not. The meditation this morning is written by Lori Gorgas Hlaban, Hlaban, not quite sure. Pause. Balanced in the center between longest and shortest days. Equinox. The wheel of the year turns and turns again. The air cools, days shorten. The sun seems to weaken, barely clearing the horizon after rising before beginning its descent. This is our opportunity now to pause, balanced, breathing out, breathing in, knowing this present moment is all we're guaranteed. Like the sun moving toward the shortest day, each moment arises and is gone before we know it. This is the time to pause and consider. As we enter the season of contemplation, of increasing darkness, of lying fallow, of dormancy, this is the season of letting go, of lightening burdens, of preparing for a long period of being still, going deep. Pause and consider. Binaries, dark and light, hot and cold, chaos and order. Neither extreme is inherently good or bad. It's all a matter of balance, of honoring the spectrum for which binaries mark the endpoints. Today we mark the midpoint between summer and winter solstice, a time to seek balance and be free. Blessed be. Amen. That music would have been nice after that. Our speaker this morning is Corey Barnes, younger son of Rick and Tina Barnes, and his topic is inviting controversy. Corey?
Good morning. It's great to see everybody, be back. I'm happy that the last talk on interdependency went well. got an invite back. So no, for those of you who know my history and know that I've lived and traveled in many places where my opinion is a bit divergent from the societies that I've lived in. I've lived in these areas where people disagreed with my views on sustainability or environmentalism. Lived in places where people disagree with my views on religion or spirituality. And I've lived in places where people disagree with my political perspectives. And what I've come to learn through these experiences with it is that it's far from weakening of my views. The conversations that I've had with people that I disagree with have constructively challenged me. They've clarified my views. They've made me more empathetic to those who may not agree with me, or I might not agree with them. So given that we're deep in election season, and that everything at this point feels a bit controversial, when Carrie emailed me about talking, and I realized the Soul Matters theme for the month was invitation, I thought, what if instead of avoiding confrontation, instead of avoiding that tension, we invite it into our lives. So today I want to devise a space we may often resist, a space of often discomfort, a space of tension, where we may feel our hearts beat a little faster, with our minds start to racing. Space is what we commonly call controversy. Now I know that some of you may have bristled just hearing that word. It can invite some feelings. Controversy often conjures images of conflict, division, or worse, hostility between two parties. But what if we saw it differently? What if we saw controversy not as a barrier, but as an invitation? What if we saw it as an opportunity for growth and deeper understanding and strengthening of our community? So this morning we're going to explore how engaging in dialogue across divergent views can lead us into a more inclusive and compassionate and ultimately a stronger community. I feel it's especially important in this election time when we feel it's like it's us versus them, and it sometimes feels like there are impassable differences between us, to understand the value of having these conversations. Even when they are hard, but they might lead us to a better understanding of our opinions and the people that we're talking with. So I first want to acknowledge that the very notion of controversy is uncomfortable. I know it cannot seem like it as Unitarians, where we sometimes lean into controversy and having discussions, but as humans, we're naturally inclined to seek harmony. We want to have that unity. We often strive to find common ground, and when we encounter ideas that challenge our own, our instinct is often to put them away or to defend what we already know. And this is not inherently a bad thing. It's human nature to protect what feels familiar to us, what feels safe. However, as UUs, we are called to a broader and a deeper way of being in the world. Our tradition of challenging ourselves and the world asks us to engage with what is difficult and to approach the unknown with curiosity rather than fear. Our first principle, and I'm going off our previous principles now, just getting on board with JetPig, so hopefully everybody remembers the previous principles. Our first principle reminds us that there's inherent worth and dignity in every person. And our fourth principle calls us to the free and responsible search for truth and meaning. And these principles are not passive principles, but they're active invitations to engage with ourselves, to engage with others, and with the world around us. But engaging with others, especially those with viewpoints that might differ from our own, can be hard. It can be messy, and yes, it can be controversial. So why would we invite this into our lives? Why would we actively seek out dialogue for viewpoints that are different from our own? Well, one of the reasons we may shy away from controversy is that fear will lead to conflict that can't be resolved. We fear that by opening up ourselves up to different views, we may risk division or even loss of relationships we hold dear. Yet by avoiding these conversations, we also risk an equally important loss of growth, the loss of understanding and the loss of opportunity to deepen our connection with one another. Engaging with different perspectives can help us grow, both individually and collectively. It can challenge us to examine our assumptions, to broaden our horizons, and to develop a more nuanced understanding of the world. When we open ourselves up to views that are different from our own, we may discover blind spots within our thinking. We may find new ways of seeing a situation, and we may even find common ground in unexpected places. But even when common ground isn't found, there is still value in the conversation itself. Listening to someone with a different perspective doesn't mean we have to agree with them. It doesn't mean we have to abandon our own beliefs. Rather, it is an exercise in empathy, respect, and curiosity. Dialogue doesn't mean we are trying to change somebody's mind or that we are trying to change ours. Instead, it's an understanding where the other person is coming from, and in doing so, understanding more deeply about ourselves. In inviting controversy into our lives in a healthy way, curiosity is one of the most powerful tools that we have. When we encounter a view that challenges us, our natural reaction may be to defend our position, but what if instead we ask questions? Imagine what would happen in the face of controversy. We responded not with defensiveness, but with curiosity. What if when somebody expresses a belief or an opinion that feels uncomfortable to us, we ask, tell me more about that? What if we asked, how did you come to that understanding? Or what experience have shaped your perspective? By asking questions, we create the space for dialogue. We create the space for understanding. And we create the space for connection. Open-mindedness is not about agreeing with everyone and abandoning our own beliefs. It is about creating space within our minds and hearts for the possibility that someone else's perspective might hold value, even if it is different from our own. It is important to remember that open-mindedness doesn't mean that we accept every idea or perspective as valid. There are some views, such as those rooted in hatred, bigotry, or discrimination, that we must stand firmly against. But even in these situations, we can approach the person holding the view with curiosity. We can ask, what has led you to hold this belief? And what would it mean for you to see this differently? Through questions, understanding, and the role of empathy, we can open the door for transformation. Another essential element when we invite controversy into our lives in a healthy way is respect. To respect someone doesn't mean that we agree with them, but it does mean that we recognize their inherent worth and dignity. It means acknowledging that they too are on a journey of seeking truth and meaning, just as we are. Even when their conclusions differ from ours, we can honor their process and their lived reality. In this way, respect becomes a foundation for our conversations. It allows us to listen without the immediate need to respond or defend. It allows us to sit with discomfort without rushing to resolution or judgment. And it allows us to see the person in front of us as a whole person, not just a set of beliefs or opinions. When we engage in dialogue across divergent views with respect, we are modeling a way of being in the world that prioritizes relationship over agreement, one that values understanding over being right. And in doing so, we strengthen the fabric of our community. As UUs, we're committed to building a more inclusive and compassionate world. But inclusion and compassion does not mean avoiding conversations. They do not mean sidestepping controversy. In fact, they require the very opposite. Inclusion means a space for all voices, even those that challenge us. It means creating an environment where differing views can be expressed and explored, not silenced and ignored. It means being willing to sit with the tension of disagreement without losing sight of our shared humanity. Compassion, too, requires that we engage with others in their full complexity. It asks us to see beyond the surface of somebody's beliefs and opinions and to recognize their deeper fears, hopes, and experiences that shape those views and opinions. Compassion calls us to engage with others not as adversaries, but as fellow travelers on the journey towards truth and meaning. By inviting controversy into our community in a healthy and respectful way, we create opportunities for inclusion and compassion to flourish. We create a community where all voices are heard and valued, where difficult conversations are embraced as opportunities for growth, and where relationships are strengthened through the very act of engaging with difference. Of course, fear of division is real. We may worry that by inviting controversy into our community, especially in this time, we risk fracturing it. We may fear that differing views will lead to irreconcilable differences. But I believe the opposite is true. I believe that engaging with controversy in a healthy way, we actually strengthen our community. When we avoid controversial conversations, we create the illusion of harmony. Maybe an echo chamber that we see in our daily lives. We may think that by avoiding certain topics, we are preserving the peace, but what we're actually doing is creating a very fragile peace, one that can easily be shattered. True peace, true community, is not built on avoidance, but on engagement. It is built on the willingness to have difficult conversations and to do so with respect, curiosity, and open-mindedness. By inviting controversy, we create a space where differences can be explored and where relationships can be deepened through dialogue. We create a community that is not afraid of disagreement, but that sees it as an opportunity for growth. We create a community that is resilient, one that can withstand challenges from differing views because it's built on a foundation of respect and understanding. Don't get me wrong, inviting controversy into our lives is not easy. It requires courage, it requires vulnerability, it requires honesty. It requires willingness to engage in uncomfortable and sit in the tension of a disagreement. But it is through this very process that we grow. It is through the very process that we deepen our understanding of ourselves, of others, and of the larger world around us. I was recently reading a book that introduced me to the idea of anti-fragility. Has anybody heard of anti-fragility? Oh, excellent. All right, get to introduce a new idea. The core premise is that unlike fragile things like delicate china or flowers or glass that break at the smallest signs of stress, or things that are resilient, that are able to recover from failure, or things that are robust, that resist failure, things that are anti-fragile grow stronger through adversity. While the concept has been applied to things like software, business, or ecological systems, I think that the UU society is anti-fragile, that we are able to invite controversy into our communities and grow stronger through it. So I invite you to carry with you the spirit of curiosity, respect, and open-mindedness. I invite you to engage in dialogue across divergent viewpoints, not as a way to change somebody's mind, but a way to understand more deeply. I invite you to see controversy not as a barrier, but as an opportunity for growth, for connection, and for building a more inclusive and compassionate society. So let us be courageous in our conversations, and let us be bold in our engagement with differences, and let us together create a world where all voices are heard, where all perspectives are valued, and where controversy is not seen as a source of division, but as an invitation to grow. Thank you.
Thank you, Corey. Please rise in body or spirit and join me in singing hymn number 350, The Ceaseless Flow of Endless Time. As our service draws to a close, we extinguish the flame of our chalice as we say these words together. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Again, as we end our service, let's wave to our friends on Zoom, and Zoomies, wave to us. Our closing words were written by Emily Richards. Please take a moment to become present, to pause, and to notice how you are in this moment. Our work here today is at an end, and our work has just begun. The work of holding one another and this community in love. The work of trusting that we are on the right path. The work of believing that what connects us is stronger than what separates us. The work of engaging in that which makes us whole. The work of deeper understanding and commitment. The work of letting go of that which does not serve us. the work of radical inclusion, the work of collective liberation, the work of this beloved community, a beloved community of which we are all part, a place where we are welcomed, respected, valued, cherished, a place where we belong. Go in peace. Amen. And blessed be.